Hi, I'm Quinn, and this is Open Awareness Yoga. Today we're doing yoga for the back, aka spinal awakening. So we're going to be working a lot with the spine. You need some props, the normal ones, some sort of a strap so you can reach your feet, a bath towel or a firm blanket, which will fold in one moment, and 2 yoga blocks or 2 books. And this is really to help you reach the floor. So if when you're standing you can come down and touch the floor, you probably don't need books. But if you can't, then do grab 2 hardback books. So to prepare for where we're going, you want to make a fold in your blanket. You'll be laying down with your buttocks on top of it, but you do want some height. Okay, so if your hip creases or your hip flexors are pretty tight, then like a little bit of height is fine. If they're a little looser, you might make your folds bigger, and you'll see where we're going with this, but just get it prepared and then set that off to the side. We won't use it right away. Make sure that your strap is off to the side as well, so you'll be able to grab it when you're laying down. And then come to lying on your back with your knees bent and your feet on the floor. And to get started today, we're actually going to cross our arms over the chest, like so. This moves the shoulder blades away from the spine so that we can feel more of our mid-back, our thoracic spine on the earth. And if this isn't comfortable for you, if you feel like you can't breathe or it's just not right today, then you can put your arms by the side of the body. Another option for more comfortable legs is to let the knees knock in towards one another. Some people prefer that, others do not. Now feel the back of your head and your sacrum, and that's your pelvis. Technically, it's the base of the spine between the 2 pelvic halves. So feel for these 2 points. The back of your head and your sacrum. And allow your body to adjust so that you feel balanced, so that you feel aligned, whatever that means to you today. And then as you sink your awareness into these 2 points, notice your breath. Maybe smooth your breath out, maybe slow it down. Now between the 2 points, the back of your head and your sacrum, can you allow the weight of your spine to release down towards the ground? Breathing in and out. Now soften into your hip creases. Imagine a waterfall streams from your knees down the fronts of the thighs and pools in the creases of your hips, softening all the muscles as it streams. And imagine a second waterfall streaming down from knees, down shins, so that your feet rest in pools of water. And the legs are relaxing. Your hip sockets are relaxing. And bring your awareness back to the head. And in your mind's eye, let's slowly travel down the spine, feeling for the natural curves of your spine. So from the back of the head, the neck curves up and away from the floor. So you probably feel some space between the bones of your spine in the neck and the floor. Continuing down the spine, between the shoulder blades, you'll feel the spine and the ribs start to make contact with the earth as the thoracic spine rounds down into the ground. At some point, as we travel down, the spine begins to lift back up away from the earth, and thus begins your lumbar spine, the thickest and biggest vertebrae, where many of us have had trouble in the past. And as you get to the base of the lumbar spine, there you are, settled on your sacrum, which are fused vertebrae that rounds back down towards the earth. And the spine ends in the tailbone, which lifts up, finishing that downward curve. And if your arms are comfortable here, you can leave them here. If not, bring them to the side of the body, palms face up, and continue to breathe. Now imagine that there is a river running underneath you, and it's clearing away any tension and tightness in your back. And the river is running from head to toe. And any areas that feel tight are like rocks and pieces of wood, debris in the river, that the river just carries away. And as you lie here and breathe, working with the visual, that river begins to flow with clearer water. Water so clean, so crisp you could drink it. As all of the tension and tightness in your back is carried downstream. Just a few more moments here. I just want you to know that for some, visualization takes lots of practice for it to work. So if that didn't work for you, nothing wrong. Stick with it. We'll begin to move. So let's bring your heels, hips width distance apart, and your knees in line with the heels. Leave your arms down by the sides of the body. And then bring your mind to that lumbar curve, your low back, lifting up and away from the floor in its natural state. We'll do some pelvic tilting here. So as you exhale, flatten your low back down against your mat. And as you inhale, lift it up and exaggerate the curve. Continue with your breath, just flattening and arching through the low back. You might be tilting to one side or moving at an angle, and there's no need to change that. Do try to soften your hip creases. It's not a very big movement. It's just some lubrication of the lumbar spine. And we're also working towards a bit of a somatic release of the psoas muscles, which connect onto your lumbar spine. You have one on each side. They pass through the hips and connect again to the inner upper thigh bone. So that can pull on the spine. Just one more round of arch and flatten. And then come back to a neutral spine, just as you were resting on the floor earlier, and pull your right knee into your chest. Hold your right knee in, and we'll continue some arching and flattening. This time, as you arch, you let the right knee move away from the body. The elbows will straighten. And flatten, you pull the knee in. And go slow enough that you really get a sense and a feel for the quality of movement here. It's It's really not about repetitions. It's about incentivizing the body to release through rhythmic movement with our breath. You might also notice that it's sort of ratchety. Maybe there's areas that move smoothly and other areas that feel really like rocky and crinkly. Maybe there's a way to smooth them out by changing the pace of your arch and flatten, but maybe not today. A couple more of these. And then we'll change sides. So whenever you finish up with your last one, bring your right foot down to the ground and pull your left knee into the chest. And here we go, arch and flatten. As you arch, the knee moves away from the chest. As you flatten, it moves closer in. You might notice there's a big difference between your right and left sides. And this movement might seem simple. To some, it might seem boring, but I can tell you I've been practicing this for a few months now, and it's so different now than it was when I first started. It's very subtle, the shifts. Just a few more rounds here. And when you feel done, place the left foot back on the floor and then find a neutral spine. Bring the hands down along the sides of the body. This time flip your palms face down. Take an inhale breath. And as you exhale, feel how your navel naturally flattens back towards the spine and your low belly widens. Take a few breaths to get a feel for that without forcing anything, just a natural breath. And the low belly muscles naturally engage as you exhale, flattening and widening the low belly. And take an inhale breath to prepare. Next time you exhale, feel the belly flatten and widen and lift the right knee up to bring it over the right hip, right shin parallel to the floor. Let your ankle just rest. You might already start to feel some work here. Continue to breathe, and on your next exhale, flatten and widen. Lift the left knee up to meet the right. You can keep the knees hips width distance apart or pull them together, but keep the low back in its natural curve. Relax your head, feel the back of your head heavy. Let your ankles and toes relax. And with every breath, notice how the belly settles down and spreads apart as you exhale. Inhale to prepare. Next exhale breath. Lower the right toes to tap the floor. Go slow. Inhale, bring it right back where it started. Change sides. Exhale, tap left toes down. Inhale, bring it back. Soften your head and neck and continue. Keep that nice neutral curve in your lumbar spine. And try to stay focused on how the exhale breath flattens and broadens your low belly. It's a lot of work here. We're just moving the thigh bone in the hip socket. Try to keep the pelvis relatively still and continue to breathe. Now finish on your left side. Knees over the hips, or you can place your feet on the floor for a break. Bring your hands underneath your head, interlace the fingers, and then bend your elbows up so that you can see them in your peripheral vision. Tuck the chin slightly towards the chest so the back of the neck is long, and feel the head heavy in the hands. Come back to that breath in the neutral lumbar spine. Inhale. And as you exhale, lift your head and shoulders off the mat without flattening your low back. Now this is taking this one step further, so if your head and neck start to hurt, or if the tapping was a challenge for you, bring the head and neck back down. Otherwise, we'll do the same thing with the head and neck up, lumbar curve retained, low belly flattens and broadens as you exhale, and we tap the right toe down. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, left toe down. Pay attention to your belly. Inhale, up. Exhale, right toe down. Inhale up. Exhale, left toes down. Inhale up. One more, both sides, right, up, and lift. Up. Lower your head. Lower your right foot, left foot. Take a break. And we've got a few more. So you choose whether or not you'll roll up your head and chest. And take an inhale breath. As you exhale, bring your knees back over the hips. Next exhale breath, if you're going there, lift up your head and chest. This time, straighten your left leg straight up to the sky. And keeping that lumbar curve intact, slowly lower the left leg just as far as you can until you start to feel a pull on your low back, and then that's your height. Bring the left knee back into the chest, relax the head and the hands. Right knee goes straight up to the sky. And slowly lower a straight right leg down and forward until you find your position where you can keep the lumbar curve retained. Then bring that right knee back to where it started. So here we go, head and chest up, neck relaxed, inhale. As you exhale, send your left foot out to the position you chose. Inhale, bring it in. Exhale, right leg out. Inhale in. One more time, left. And we'll add on this next set. And right. Now you send the left leg out. Turn your torso to the right. Spread your elbows wide. Continue to breathe. On an inhale breath, come back up high through center. Send the right leg out as you exhale. Spread your elbows wide. Continue to breathe. One more round. Inhale, come up high through center. Exhale, twist to the right, left leg long. Inhale up high through center. Have you forgot your belly? Widening and flattening. Exhale, left. Inhale back through center. Release your right foot down, left foot down, and roll your head and shoulders down to the earth. Stretch your arms long, your legs long. Breathe. It's a lot of work in the belly. The belly supports the back, and we need it engaged for where we're headed. And so bend your knees. This is when we're using your blanket. So find your blanket and your strap, and then you'll lift your hips up and slide your blanket or your towel underneath your hips. Right, and if this doesn't feel like it's very much height or it's uncomfortable, just rearrange it, refold it, or maybe place your two books stacked underneath your hips. Then pull your left knee into the chest and send your right leg long. Take your right hand on top of your right thigh and just stroke the thigh down towards the foot to incentivize a further release through your right psoas. Now pull the right toes back towards the face and keep the toes pulling towards the face even as you reach out with the ball mound of your big toe. So you're lengthening the inner line of the right leg. You might feel quite a bit of a stretch in the top of the right thigh. You might not feel much, and that's okay. Keep the right buttocks and hip, pelvis heavy on the blanket. Now find your strap, loop it around the left foot, and straighten your left foot up towards the sky. Just a couple of times, bend and straighten through the left knee, opening up the back of the left leg. Keep your right leg engaged, reaching out through the big toe mound. Now leave that left leg straight. Soften your shoulders, release your head back heavy, neck is relaxed. Breathe. And even though the upper body is really relaxing, you're still turned on through your right leg and opening through the left leg. And tight hamstring muscles connect onto your sitting bones, which is your pelvis. The pelvis at the back connects into your sacrum, the bottom of the spine. So any tugging on those sitting bones can more or less tuck your tail under and remove some of the arch in the low back, which is a shock absorber. It takes force from every step and transfers it up your body, trying to protect too much quaking in your head and in your brain. So it's important to open the backs of the legs for a healthy back. All right, bend the left knee, bend the right knee, place the feet on the floor, and pull the right knee into the chest. Lengthen the left leg long. Pull the left toes towards the face and reach out through the ball mound of the big toe. So you're lengthening that left side leg, and take the left hand, stroke the thigh from hip down towards big toe. Keep your left leg engaged. Feel the left back hip heavy on the blanket beneath you. And now take your strap, wrap it around the right ball mound of the foot, and send your right leg straight to the sky. Couple times, bend and straighten, a little warm up. Keep the left leg engaged, and when you're ready, straighten your right leg and leave it there. Now feel that sensation wash over you of relaxing from head down the spine. Just like that river is still flowing underneath you, removing any of the tension that you're able to release, that's ready to release in your body today. Breathing, feeling, experiencing, practicing yoga. Now bend the right knee, bend the left knee, remove your strap, both feet on the floor. Lift your hips up to slide your blanket out from underneath you. Bring your hips back down. Pull your knees into your chest and rock side to side on your low back a few times. Make little circles around your sacrum in one direction and change direction. And here, if you have any kind of back issues or body problems, roll to one side and sit up. Or you can begin to rock and roll yourself along the spine until you come to seated. And we'll all meet in a balasana, or a child's pose with your knees closed. So the legs will be together. Then find your blanket and place it on your lap, right up into the creases of the hips. So you might even take your fingers underneath the front hip points, lift up the hips, and place them on top of the blanket. So we're lifting up and over as we bring the forehead down to the ground and the arms behind us. If your forehead doesn't reach the ground, this is when you use one or both of your books or blocks to place your head down. And if it's uncomfortable for you to round forward like this, you can come onto your elbows, lift your hips off of your heels, and round the spine. What we're going for here is complete flexion of the spine. Flexion is that rounding forward, and this really is the shape that we're all born in. We spend our first 9 months developing our spine in the womb in this shape. So as fetuses and as infants, we only have one curve in this spine. And can you think back to your spinal exploration in the beginning of class? Which curve is this? It's the thoracic spine. So each of the ribs are connected into a thoracic vertebrae, which is curved in flexion naturally. It's called kyphotic. And also your sacrum is curved this way. And here the blanket is helping to soften the belly and deepen any curve in the low back. And then once we're born and we're old enough, our parents put us, or caregivers put us on the floor on our bellies. So come down to your belly and just lay with one cheek to the side, just like a baby would. Your arms out to the side. And what do babies first do? What do they figure out how to do? They lift their head. So lift your head and look forward. And here, as infants, all of us start to develop a curve in the cervical spine, a curve in the neck. If you have any neck problems, put your head right back down. Now the next step for babies is they start to crawl, which is what develops this secondary curve of the lumbar spine. But for us, we'll head into Sphinx pose. So lift yourself up and place your elbows underneath your shoulders. And if this hurts your back, crawl your elbows a little further forward to take out the extension in the spine. So now we're working with this curve, the lordosis of our neck, a natural curve, and the natural curve of our lumbar spine. We can even ask the thoracic spine to extend by drawing the shoulder blades down the back and then pressing the bottom tips of your shoulder blades forward into the chest, spread across your collarbones. And here we are in spinal extension, the opposite of flexion, where we were in that balasana, the child's pose. As you exhale, bring your chest and head back down to the ground. If it's comfortable, forehead down to the earth with the nose pointing down. Now stretch your arms out in front of you at a wide V and turn the palms face in towards one another. Wrap the upper outer arms down towards the ground. And if you feel any constriction or compression in your shoulders, widen your arms. Feet or hips with distance or wider. Draw your navel up towards your low ribs. So you feel here a semblance of that navel flattening and widening. Now keep the engagement in your low belly to keep length in your low back. And lift the right arm off of the ground and lower it. Next time you lift the right arm, think about lifting it from your shoulder blade. So here we go. Lift and lower. And we'll do this a few times, so you go at your own pace, just lifting and lowering that right arm. Think about lifting it from the upper right back, muscles of your upper right back, right shoulder blade. And relax your head, relax your jaw, relax your neck. Just work that right shoulder blade as you lift and lower. Is your belly still engaged? The last one. And we'll go to the second side. So wrap the outer upper arm down, engage your belly by pulling the pubic bone up towards the sternum, and then from the left shoulder blade, lift and lower. Lift and lower. We're working the muscles of the back, strong postural muscles that keep us upright and keep our rib cage open so that we can breathe. Keep us from developing a hump in the back and help take a hump out of the back. Okay, one more time. And lower. Now we'll go to the legs. So we keep the arms right where they are. Make sure both of your knees are pointing down towards the ground. Engage the belly, lift the pubic bone up towards the sternum, and lift the right leg. Knees still facing down towards the ground. Keep the low back long. And lower. A few times. Lift and lower. Feel the right buttocks engaged. Glute muscles turn on to extend the leg in this way. You might feel your hamstrings, the backs of your thighs engaged. Relax your head and neck and breathe. Last one. Second side, belly engaged. Lift the left leg and lower. Relaxing where you can, anywhere you're not working. Left knee is pointing straight down to the ground as it lifts and lowers. Belly still engaged. Last one. And relax. All right, keep that belly engaged. Lift the right arm from the shoulder blade. Lift the left leg. Okay, and see if you can feel the connection from the upper right back, diagonally down and across to the left buttocks and down the left leg. And then lower. We'll stay with this side. So lift again, right arm, left leg. Feel the fingertips of the right fingers connected to the toes of the left foot. And lower. And then a few times. Lift and lower. Belly engaged. Lift and lower. Head, neck, shoulders relaxed. Lift and lower. Last time. Lift and lower. All right, second side. Lift your right arm or your left arm and your right leg. Now before we do any movement, feel a connection diagonally across from left shoulder down to right buttocks, and then add in the limbs as we lower, lift, lower, lift, engage the belly, lower, lift, lower, lift, last one, lower, and lift. Relax everything. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders and press it back into a child's pose. This time, knees apart so that the sides of your torso move right in between the thighs, but that they touch. So the sides of your torso touch your inner thighs. Big toes touch and arms extend long in front of you. Now take a look forward at your hands. Bring your hands shoulder width distance apart or wider if you need it, and turn your index fingers to point straight ahead towards the short side of your mat. Press the palms of the hands and fingers down into the ground. Lift your forearms up. Bend your elbows slightly. Wrap your outer upper arms down and spread across the collarbone and the upper back. Now press further down into the ground through the root of the index finger and thumb. Press it down and forward to straighten your elbows and lengthen your armpits. Shoulder blades draw down the back. Bring the ears between the biceps, but keep the forearms lifted. These are the strong arms we need for a downward facing dog, and that's where we're headed. Okay, so lift up onto tabletop and come into your downward facing dog. Curl your toes under, lift your hips high, and bend your knees deeply. So let's kind of forget about stretching the backs of the legs for a second. Look forward at your hands and do the same thing you just did. Press the hands down, bend the elbows, wrap the outer upper arms down and back. Bring the ears between the biceps. Now press down into the inner edges of the hands to straighten the elbows and lengthen the armpits. Feel your spine growing long. Knees still bent deeply. Lift the outer hips diagonally away from the shoulders to lengthen the spine. And now a couple times we'll take cat-cow and downward facing dog. As you inhale, drop your belly, lift your hips, and lift your heart. You can always come to hands and knees to do this. Exhale, round your spine, lift it up to the sky, tuck your tail, tuck your head. One more time. Inhale, cow pose, extending the spine. Exhale, cat pose, rounding the spine. Now slowly bring the knees down to the ground. Sit back on your heels, interlace your fingers, and circle the wrists. It's a lot on the wrists sometimes. And then we'll come into hands and knees. We'll do a few regular cat-cows here. So going with your breath, inhale into your cow, belly drops, heart and tail lift. We're in extension. Exhale into cat, spine lifts towards the sky, flexion. One more time, inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And come back to neutral. We'll do the same thing in a completely different way. This time, leading from your tailbone, will undulate from bottom to top of the spine. So press down through your hands, wrap your outer upper arms back, even in this tabletop. And as we drop down into cow pose, you start from the tailbone, moving vertebra by vertebra until you lift your heart. Same thing, start from your tailbone, moving vertebra by vertebra and round the spine to the sky. Starting from the tailbone, come back into your cow. And notice how this is different from your first try. Continue a few more times. Moving like a snake. And come back into tabletop, hands and knees. Sit back on your heels, interlace your fingers one more time, work those wrists out. And then we'll meet back in tabletop. So send the right toes back behind you, toes curled under and on the floor, left fingertips forward. We've been here before on our belly. Think about that diagonal line. As you exhale, lift the arm and the leg. Engaging across left back to right buttocks, reach out through the fingertips and toes. One more breath in, bird dog pose. Exhale back to tabletop, left side, left toes behind you, right fingertips forward. On an exhale breath, you lift them up. Think about that diagonal cross body action at play. Think about your navel flattening and widening, and lower down, tabletop. Walk your hands a paw print forward. We're heading to downward facing dog. Now think about your hands, bend your knees deeply, and set the arms just as we've worked. Bring the ears between the biceps, press into the inner hands to lengthen the arms. And now any amount, straighten the legs, but don't let that low back round. Remember, the hamstrings pull on the low back, so bend the knees to lengthen the low back to its natural curve. Now walk the feet in towards the hands. Come to a forward fold. Bend your knees deeply. And drop the hips and slowly roll up through your spine. The head is the last thing to arrive at the top. I'm going to just stand here for a moment. Arms hanging by the sides of the body. Maybe close your eyes And just notice how your low back feels. You know, if you could describe it in a few words or in a sensation, or if there's an image or a picture, just get a feel for it. Take a snapshot. Okay? All right, bend your knees slightly, just bounce through them. And we're gonna touch our low back. So take your hands, and if possible, on the skin of your low back, and find where the low spine curves in, so it's above the hips, and that inward curve lumbar spine. Now you'll notice there's like a valley and two ridges. The two ridges, one on the right and one on the left, they're spinal erector muscles, and just place your fingertips very lightly on those ridges. Now the knees are still bent. Underneath your fingertips, I want you to find a softening sensation of those ridges. It might be kind of hard to do to feel your muscles soften under your fingertips, and so with knees bent, maybe you rock the hips back and forward a couple of times until you feel the softening sensation under your fingertips, and then stay in that position and breathe. Okay, feel it soft. And notice what it feels like to have those muscles relaxed. So what you're feeling are the superficial muscles, the ones closest to the skin. You've got muscles even deeper than that. So try to keep the muscles under your fingertips relaxed and flex your spine. So fold not very far, but fold forward right at where your fingertips are, but keep those muscles relaxed. Now very slowly, keeping your knees bent, move into extension. So into a little bit of a back bend there, keeping those muscles relaxed. You're only moving like maybe an inch, maybe not even that much. So continue very slowly to flex and extend through your lumbar spine, trying to keep those muscles underneath your fingertips soft the whole time. Okay, so what you're doing is working deeper muscles. We'll be here for just a moment. Sort of neuromuscular training takes time. You really can't rush to results here. And finish up. Bring your arms back by your side. Come to standing regularly again. And now notice your low back. Take another snapshot. Notice if you got positive results from that, or negative results, or no results. Now we'll work some rolling down through the spine. So you'll stay where you're standing. First, imagine a kangaroo. And I know you maybe haven't seen a kangaroo, but they have thick, thick tails that come down off of their tail and they rest on the floor. Okay, so imagine that you have a thick kangaroo tail that's coming down off of your own tailbone and resting on the floor behind you. This is going to come in handy when we roll up. Right, knees slightly bent. Tuck your chin down into your chest and begin to round down through the spine, letting your arms fall down like zombie arms. Try to move vertebra by vertebra. Bent knees will help you with your mobility in the spine here. Moving all the way down. Once you get there, think about that kangaroo tail. Press the kangaroo tail into the ground and let that help you initiate rolling back up through the spine, vertebra by vertebra. So just one vertebra stacking on top of the other. And when you get up, we go right back down. Chin comes to chest. Notice if there's any places where you move in chunks, go very slow there. Try to get it to move independently. You might also notice how the front side of your body is supporting your very slow descent and ascent. It's like the front side of your body sort of firms and sucks up, and the back spine rounds over it. Remember when you're coming up to think of that kangaroo tail grounding you. Everything step by step. One more time. Continue to breathe. When you get back up to standing, we're going to go down the right side. So if you have any SI joint problems, you might want to avoid this. Just see if it causes pain. If it does, don't do it. Come right back to the center. Otherwise, chin moves into the right side armpit. Arms still hang like a zombie, but this time they frame the right leg, and we roll down vertebra by vertebra down the right side body. Kangaroo tail presses down as we roll vertebra by vertebra, slowly up. When your head arrives, bring it back to center, roll down the center, vertebra by vertebra. And go at your own pace. Once the head lifts up, the chin tucks to the left side chest and the arms zombie down the left leg. And just this exercise can feel really nice after long days of standing, sitting, back-breaking work. One last time through center. So when you sit, your spine compresses. You actually lose some height. In order to keep our range of motion, you need to get up and stretch your spine in all of its ranges of motion. When you come back to standing, pause and notice. You get a snapshot of how your body feels. And as you inhale, lift your arms overhead. Be like super mellow with it today. And just notice how it feels to lift the arms and any impact on your spine. Just lower the arms as you exhale. Inhale, stand. On this one exhale breath, roll all the way down, just as you've been doing. If you can't touch the floor, find your books, place them in your hands. Inhale, come up halfway. Here, we grow the spine long, keeping the torso parallel to the earth. So we're working the back muscles. Exhale, come back down, plant your hands, and step back into a plank pose. Knees stay up or head down to the floor. Inhale here, feel the belly widen and spread, and as you exhale, lower all the way down to your belly. Now bring your fingertips out to the sides of your shoulders, fingertips on the ground and elbows pointing up towards the sky. So you're really wide across the chest and upper back. Feet hips width distance apart. As you inhale, lift the forehead and just the very top chest. Exhale, lower. Add another vertebrae. Inhale, come up a little bit higher. Exhale, lower. Think moving like a snake. Inhale, come up a little bit higher. And listen to your body. If it's saying no more, stay with the level you found. Continue every time you come up, snaking up a little bit more. Paying attention to move vertebra by vertebra. No big chunks. Don't skip any steps. Take your final one. And at the end of your exhale, place your hands underneath your shoulders. Press back into a child's pose. Spine long, forehead to the earth. Take a deep breath in, and deep breath out. Now we'll begin to side bend the spine. So crawl your hands over to the right, maybe stacking left palm on top of the right, and breathe into the left side lungs, left side body. And the spine is slightly twisting, and it's bending to the side, right? So this is another range of motion of the spine. On an exhale breath, come back to center and crawl over to the left, maybe stacking the right palm on top of the left. And breathe into the right side lung, right side body. On an exhale, come back to center. Inhale up onto hands and knees, curl your toes under. Exhale, downward facing dog. Long spine, bend the knees. Inhale here. Exhale, walk your feet forward and slowly roll up. Sink that kangaroo tail down to the ground. The head is the last to arrive. Inhale, just float the arms, super lazy, overhead. Exhale, let them fall down by the side of the body. Inhale here. As you exhale, round down through the spine. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, plant your hands down, step your left leg back long, and bring your left knee down to the ground. If you're using books, use them. Press down into your fingertips or books. Roll your shoulders back, lift your heart. Feel a nice long spine. Now look down at your foot, plant your left hand flat on the floor on your book. And as you inhale, start from your low back. Begin to revolve the torso open to the right. And when you get to your shoulder, unfurl your arm to the sky. Breathe here, feeling the movement of the breath in the spine. Now exhale, bring the right hand back down to the floor. Step your right knee back to meet the left and come up to kneeling. From here, shoot your right leg out to the side, toes face forward. Foot flat on the floor, hands on your hips. Drop that right hip down. Inhale, lift your left arm up to the sky. Keep the right hip dropping as you exhale, side bend to the right. Imagine you're going up and over a big beach ball, so you're not crunching too much in this right side, even as you're opening the left side in this Parigasana gate pose. As you inhale, come back up. And find your way back into tabletop, hands and knees. Now step the left foot forward between your hands. Come up onto your fingertips or books. Roll the shoulders back and down and lift the heart, finding some long extension through the spine. Breathe. Plant your right hand down on the ground. Starting from the low back, slowly revolve the chest open to the left, and when it feels natural, unfurl your arm like a fern. Breathe and feel the movement of your spine, natural with every breath you take. Now we're revolving the spine even more. We've officially moved it in all directions. One more breath in. As you exhale, left fingertips come down, step the left knee back and come to kneeling. Hands on the hips, shoot your left leg out to the left, toes face forward. Sink that left hip down, inhale, lift the right arm up to the sky. Exhale, go up and over a beach ball, side bend to your left. Breathe. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, find your tabletop. Curl your toes under, downward facing dog. One breath in here. Exhale, walk your feet forward to your hands. Sink your kangaroo tail and inhale your way back up to standing. Now take a quarter turn to the long side of your mat and step your feet apart wide. If you can't reach the floor, definitely have your two books here. And hinge at your hips to bring your hands down to the ground, shoulder width distance apart. If your fingertips touch the floor, that's fine. First, we engage through the legs, so press down through the feet. Lift the inner thighs away from one another and feel the legs strong. Place your left hand right underneath your nose. Bring your right hand to your hip. Keep pressing down through the feet, especially the right foot. And as you inhale, start from the low back, revolve your torso open to the right. Maybe add your right arm up to the sky and breathe. We're going to try and do this as fluidly as possible. So as you exhale, bring the right hand down and inhale, switch sides. Left hand to the hip, open the chest to the left. Maybe lift the left arm to the sky. Breathe. Press down more with the left foot to center your hip. Now exhale, bring both hands back down underneath the shoulders. Now place your left hand where your right hand is. And inhale, twist open to the right. So we move the body on a bit of a diagonal. Maybe add your arm. Definitely breathe. Now exhale, come back through center, cross your right arm over to the left side, and inhale, left twist. Maybe open your arm. Press down through both feet. We're moving the rotation of the spine down the back. Exhale, come back to center, both hands underneath the shoulders. This time either repeat what you just did or place your left hand as far over as your right foot. Right hand comes to the hip and twist open to the right. And now the revolution, the revolving in the spine is coming more from the lower back. So we don't really go as far. Exhale, other side. Inhale, revolve open to the left. Breathe and feel your spine. Exhale, come back to center and let yourself fold as deep as you'd like to go, letting your spine round. And you might even notice naturally the belly sort of sucks up and under the ribs. And this isn't something to force. It actually happens when you relax your belly. And just breathe. Hands come back underneath the shoulders as you inhale, lengthen your spine. And then slowly toe, heel, or walk your feet together so that they're about hips width distance. Find your kangaroo tail, and as you inhale, come up to standing. Time just goes so fast during these classes, and maybe I just teach so slow, but there's one thing I really want us to do. So come sit down on your butt and bring your right foot in front of you, like so, like a butterfly pose sort of, and your left foot behind you. Now, if this position isn't possible in your body, you can bring both of your feet over to the left side body or even sit up on a towel, okay? So right foot in front, left foot in back. Bring your right fingertips behind you, left fingertips on the right side shoulder, and then just turn slowly to look, twisting and looking over your right shoulder. Move your eyes as far to the right as possible and get a look at what's as far as you can see. Find a landmark that you'll remember. Okay, and then slowly come back to center. Right, you might watch me for a second. All we're going to be doing is moving very slowly in and out of this twist. And I want you to think that there's a ribbon coming from your left side hip up and over the right side chest, and someone's just pulling the ribbon and you're moving so fluidly, okay? So left hand on the shoulder, here we go. With your own pace, on your own time. You'll feel your weight dropping towards your left hip, and from there you start the spiral, which ends with looking over your right shoulder. Everything comes back to center, including the head, and then again, twisting, opening, looking, and then revolving back out. And again, think about that ribbon. Think about moving fluidly. Every vertebrae, one by one. The next time you twist, move your eyes all the way to the right and see if you got any more range of motion. If you got any further, you can see further behind you. And now slowly switch sides. All right, left fingertips behind you, right hand on the left shoulder. Turn to look. Move your eyes all the way to the left, see as far as you can see. And then here we go. Coming back to center, sinking into the right hip. From the right hip, feel the ribbon sweep around you and look over the left shoulder. Moving in and out. And do your last one. Move your eyes all the way to the left and see if you got any further. All right, come back to center. Bring your feet out in front of you. Lean forward, reaching as far down on your legs as you can. Take a breath here. And slowly roll back up to seated. And I wanted to leave you a heart opener. And this is something we've done before, but if you're new to class, it's going to be great for now and the rest of your life. So take your blanket, unfold it a couple of times so that it looks about like this. And then from the long end, begin to roll it into a noodle. Okay, so you have this blanket roll. Place it across your practice space. And you'll come to lie down over it. Be very careful. Use your hands. The blanket will be right around your shoulder blades, and you'll find the right place for it on your back. Some people like it at the bottom tips of their shoulder blades. Some people like it a little higher. But your head and your shoulders should be on the same side of the blanket roll. If your head's uncomfortable, you might slide one of your books underneath it. And you can always make your roll smaller by unrolling it a little bit. Now, once you get comfortable, straighten your legs. But if you're having any low back issues, keep your knees bent. And just allow yourself to open over the prop. Let the roll of the towel move into your body. Surrender the weight of your body down over the roll. This is a nice passive opening of the pec muscles and other muscles in the front of the chest. Just picking any one or two of these exercises you've done in this class to stand up from your seat, from your phone or your computer during the day and do. Just taking a couple minutes. It can make a huge impact in your back health and the sleep that you get at night. And with the last few moments of class, think about sending your inhale breath up the front of your spine and the exhale breath down the back of your spine. Inhale up the front. Exhale down the back. Sweeping the spine with your breath. You can stay here as long as you like, because I don't want to leave you without telling you how to get out of this. I'll do that now. You might just listen and do it later. You might do it now. You bend the knees, place the feet on the floor, and just roll to one side. And from there, you can press your hands down to the earth to sit up. And I highly recommend taking a Shavasana flat on your back, just as we began class, at least for a couple minutes, just to feel how things might have changed for you, how your spine feels different. And if you need to move on to the rest of your day, thank you so much for practicing with me. And with my hands together at my heart, I bow And gratitude to you, to the teachers and students that came before us, and to the ancient rishis, the seers in South Asia and India that passed this practice down to us. Thank you. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm here for you. Bye.